What are the highest grossing movies of all time? It might surprise you that 4 of the 10 highest grossing movies of all time came out in 2018 and 2019. Those statistics, of course, are skewed by rising ticket prices and increases in population. Adjusted for inflation, no movie can match the $3.7 billion haul that Gone with the Wind's $390 million box office receipt since its 1939 release would be worth in today's dollars. But here, we're looking at the highest grossing movies ever in gross dollar receipts. The list of the highest grossing films of all time includes some highly enjoyable movies and some that we can only shake our heads at and marvel at the worldwide moviegoer. Here are the 10 highest grossing movies of all time. 10. Frozen 2, 2019. Box office, $1.45 billion. Director, Jennifer Lee, Chris Buck. There's a bit of diminishing returns with the sequel to Frozen, the aching feeling that this exists not for any compelling narrative or artistic reasons but because Disney didn't feel like leaving an easy $1 billion on the table. To the studio's credit, though, it didn't have to be this good. Almost anything with the name Frozen 2 and Anna and Elsa on the poster would have been an instant smash hit. Frozen 2 expands on the original in a way that makes sense, and doubles down on what made it work: extravagant show tunes and dazzling computer animation. 9. The Avengers, 2012. Box office, $1.51 billion. Director, Joss Whedon. Nestled amongst the gaudy box office numbers of Joss Whedon's blockbuster is a much simpler achievement. Yes, The Avengers should evoke a deserved appreciation of Whedon's directorial skills. And yes, the film's release and reception make for a natural and that's when it was official moment that the MCU took over Hollywood. But for comic book fans especially, The Avengers represents the first instance of the superhero team dynamic truly captured and sustained on film. 8. Furious 7, 2015. Box office, $1.52 billion. Director, James Wan. Watching the 7th installment of the adrenaline-fueled Fast and Furious franchise, one gets the distinct impression that, when faced with a creative choice, the filmmakers ask themselves, what's the most insane, over-the-top thing we can do here? Then they did just that. For a series of films that has been a continual escalation in physics-defying stunts, Furious 7 takes it to an entirely new level. The result is a lot of fun. Furious 7 is part revenge thriller, part daring heist, and more than a little of a loving goodbye to a dear friend. Franchise star Paul Walker died in a car crash before filming was complete, and both his life and death loom large over the movie. As his character, Brian O'Connor, experiences one harrowing escapade after another, you wait for the moment where he meets his end. The movie is also a celebration of his life. 7. The Lion King, 2019. Box office, $1.65 billion. Director, Jon Favreau. The Lion King feels less like a more realistic version of the classic animated original than a bloodless X-ray of it. The movie is dutifully mounted, and Favreau brings the same dogged professionalism he brought to The Jungle Book, a film with many of the same problems as this film. It does its job all too well. The problem is that The Lion King is The Lion King, you know? This is a universally powerful story, with terrific songs and countless funny and fascinating supporting characters. It's a classic of performance and sensation. 6. Jurassic World, 2015. Box office, $1.67 billion. Director, Colin Trevorrow. Jurassic World marks the 4th entry in its paleontological franchise, but it's probably more important as the second chapter in the story of Chris Pratt's unexpected ascent to movie stardom. Pratt, seemingly born to make a career out of playing lovable doofuses, made his goofy tenor work for him in Guardians of the Galaxy. With Jurassic World, he shed that skin almost entirely in favor of the hard-jawed macho men of the 1950s movies. Here, we finally get to see John Hammond's loopy vision of a dino theme park brought to fruition. 5. Avengers, Infinity War, 2018. Box office, $2.05 billion. Directors, Anthony Russo, Joe Russo. Avengers, Infinity War is epic in a way that has been often aspired to but never fully grasped when it comes to the translation from comic book panel to the big screen. It's what happens when movie makers take their source material seriously, eschewing unnecessary melodrama even as they fully embrace the grandeur, the sheer spectacle, of it all. As a result, writers Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely have ample room to riff and play as characters meet for the first time or see each other again. 4. Star Wars: The Force Awakens, 2015. Box office, $2.06 billion. Director, J.J. Abrams. The Force Awakens was the remedy to the prequel of fans. J.J. Abrams and company accomplished this act of restorative cinema primarily through a return to the dirty future aesthetic that made the original trilogy feel so real. That's not to say CGI is lacking, but whereas budget and technology constraints helped the first 3 films and an overabundance hurt the next 3, the balance between practical and special effects in The Force Awakens feels near perfect. 3. Titanic, 1997. Box office, $2.21 billion. Director, James Cameron. Decades after its theatrical debut, James Cameron's blockbuster epic is still so ubiquitous in the pop culture zeitgeist. Its filmmaking marvels are drowned out by young Kate and Leo nostalgia and that damn Celine Dion masterpiece. Cameron's a shrewd storyteller, plunking a Romeo and Juliet redux aboard the doomed ocean liner and flanking the fictional romance with historical details, groundbreaking special effects and jaw-dropping visuals. 2. Avengers: Endgame, 2019. Box office, $2.80 billion. Directors, Joe Russo, Anthony Russo. Where does one begin? When it comes to Avengers: Endgame, that question is not so much an expression of one enthusiasm as a practical challenge in evaluating the destination toward which Kevin Feige and company have been steering story and viewer alike for the previous 11 years and 21 films. Though there have been plenty of 3-hour-plus movies and even a few 20-plus entry movie franchises, there's really nothing to compare with what Disney and Marvel Studios have pulled off, either in terms of size, quality and consistency of cast, or in how narrow the chronological window, all things considered, those movies were produced. Comic book fans know the thrill of following all your favorite characters through a multi-issue storyline that culminates in a universe at stake ending. Now, thanks to 21 movies in 11 years and one massive, satisfying 3-hour finale, moviegoers do, too. 1. Avatar, 2009. Box office, $2.85 billion. Director, James Cameron. It makes sense that Avatar is the highest grossing movie ever made. Irony and insincerity have no place in its extended universe. Avatar is modern myth-making at its most foundational. Cameron still seems to believe that the movies can give audiences a transformative experience, so every sinew of his film bears the Herculean effort of truly genius world building, telling the simple story of Jake Sully, Sam Worthington, and his dances with wolves like saving of the Na'vi, natives to the planet of Pandora, from the destructive forces of colonialism. If you enjoy the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, goodbye.